So, welcome. Today, we are going to do a practice exam for Python certification, which is PCAP exam. This will be just a mock or a practice exam. It would consist of 40 questions. We need to finish it in 65 minutes, and 70% is the passing mark. All will be objective type. So, without wasting any time, let's get started. My name is Prem Asim Jain, that is me, and please subscribe to my channel. We'll see the questions here. I'll explain you each answer why we are picking. Please feel to leave comments if you don't understand any question, and I can help you understand that. So first question of our practice exam is fill in the blank with the function name to produce the expected output. Uh, Given input is, so you have this 15,000.o, a float value, and expected output is 150. So you take the input, which would of course be in string format. Then whatever the value you are getting, you're dividing it by 100 and then getting here, which will be the new value, and you're printing. So they are asking what value should be here, right? So let's see what value would come here. We need to do fill in the blank. So there are a couple of ways to do this. First is you can convert it in int or float. So let's do it or float. Both ways it should be right. That way it can do the division and you will get the proper number. So your answer we picked is 1500. Oops, it's 15000. Let's run this again. So we are running it and enter the float value. The value should be 15000. Enter. Anyway, so this should be the correct value. We can run this here. I guess there is some problem with the terminal. Let me close this. Let me reopen this and let me do the Python, and let us go step by step. So we have got this value in the number. Now the type of the number is string, and if you divide directly without casting it to float, it would give error. Once you would do with this float and you would print it, you would get the desired output, what we needed here. So let's move on to the next question. Fill in the blank with the function name to produce the expected output, which is 12. And we have number is equal to 1, new number is equal to number plus 1. So what happens is this is number, and if you try to add a number with string, it would give you error because this is a operator, and the operands has to be same, either two numbers or string. So we might need a string over here to make this work. I can show you this in code. So this is supposed to be str, and then it would work. See. Next question, given the following contents of init.py in database package, what could we do to prevent the new client function from being imported if someone used the following import statement? So you are trying to, there is a client package, you are trying to import a module client, and then these are your functions. Whenever you're calling this method, it would instantiate it, connect it, and return the client. So this is an import statement. You're importing everything. So to avoid, what are they asking again? What could we do to prevent new connection from being imported? So what happens is, if you do star, it would import everything, expect if there is something which starts with underscore underscore. So those are the things which doesn't get imported. Second thing is, if you do all and then you say connect, so what would happen is, inside that package, only the connect method would be exported and not the new client, right? So that is what we can do. What would be the following code print when run? So this doesn't seem straightforward. So what are we actually doing here, and what are the answers? It would either print 1 2 3, or give a type error, or nothing would be printed, or it would print something here. So first, let's understand, we have a mapping subclass. We are instantiating it by passing the object. This is a subclass, and it has a parent class. It has an update method which takes keys and values and print keys. So probably whatever keys are being passed, these are the keys. Update method would print that, and then print something will print just something. Then we have private variable here, which is the object reference for this function, which is print something. Now similarly, in the upper we have this constructor which takes the iterable like the list or something, and then it assigns it to the item list. Once you do update, it would go with the update, iterate it over, and populate it in the list items. And then this method is being defined here in a private variable, which is also called as standard. So what will be the output exactly? Now this does not have the constructor, so by default this constructor would be called, and then by default it would call pass this iterable to underscore underscore update. So actually what happens, if it would have been simple update, it could have come here in this method and would have called this. But since it's underscore underscore update, so this is a different, this is also called as name mangling. So it would go here and then would call this update method, and then will populate the list over here. So that is what is going to happen. It would populate the list over here, and nothing would happen actually. So code would run fine and nothing would be printed, because print statement is here and here. So this update, these two methods are not getting called, and there is no print statement over there. See, so code ran fine, nothing got printed. What would be, we have 36 minutes and we have 36 questions, so we have to move fast. What would be the output of the following code? We have ages as a dictionary, ages.get which is this guy, and then print age, it will be 30. Oops, it's none. Why is that none? Because of the spelling mistake. These guys, see, KEVIN and Kate. The key is not present, that is why. What is used to create a single line comment? A single line comment can be done with this. Multi-line comment can be done with this. What is the output of the code given the following input? This is the input. So you get the number and you are trying to divide the number by 100. This should not happen. So code will throw an error because You cannot divide a string. This is of type string. If you have 10 here, and you will get the number. So you might need to wrap it inside the int or float. Which of the following calls to open function would allow you to both read and write? So if you need to do read and write, you have to go with R plus, because there I don't think there is RW some mode there. Uh, in read you can also write with R plus. Uh, Otherwise you could always go with append mode actually. So append will also allow you to read and write. But specifically, if you want to read and write, you could go with R plus. What is the output of this code? You have a letter C. If letter C is less than E, which is true, you would print first. Otherwise, if whatever the letter is equal to B or letter is greater than C or equal to C, you would print second. So this first will be printed in next F. The OR statement will be there, so second would be printed. Third, third won't be printed, else fourth would be printed. So first, second, and fourth. What would be the output when running this script? There is print example2 instantiated, and with that we are calling a method value2, which is this, which is returning self.value1, which is defined in its upper class, and value1 is returning 1. And there are two value2s actually. So if we are calling it on this guy, then of course this method will invoke, and this will invoke give you 1. Which code would result in the expected output when inserted into the commented line? So you have this list with different values, and you're trying to print the val. So what they are asking is what code would result the expected output inserted to value to be 12. So value 1 here, 60. If you say not, it would print 12. Else you could go with here, val of -1 is false, and opposite of false is true. So this won't go. 60 in values, it is true. This one is true. Not in, there is nothing like that. Not value. This would actually be false, and I'll tell you why. Because not function sees if this value is empty or something, then only it would. I'll tell you actually what I mean. So if you have value 1, this would just print that value, no brainer. But if you use not, so it would make sure that if this value is empty, then it is false. If this is not, which means this value's opposite is false. So if you would say this would be false, but if you pass an empty string, this would be true. Funny function, interesting, running out of time. What argument to the hello function would lead to the expected output? Hello, you are having the name and the salutation. you need to do hello, howdy. So uh, salutation is second argument. First argument would be you need howdy, and then so howdy is default, and you have to do William, howdy comma William. So you can just pass William as name is equal to William. This will be good, or you can just pass William. Why not this one? Because it has exclamation. Given the following classes, what is the method resolution order when calling a method on an instance of square? So you have square, it has polygon and rectangle, so it would go left to right, it would call polygon, and then it would call the polygons constructor, not the rectangle, because it can only call one. If needed, it would go to rectangle, but that would be later. So square, polygon, rectangle, and then object. There is also a method which can show you the sequence in which they'll be invoked. Which of the following line of code can be submitted into the script instead of comment such that the final output would read an error occurred? This is going to be a tricky question. So you have print k name, this is a method, and you have to insert a code here so that the output would read an error has occurred, and then the error message, whatever you pass. So you are calling this method with the argument, and if name starts with K, which it might do, it would print the name. Otherwise, it is supposed to raise the error, which should be a value error. So let's see what kind of error are here. And there has to be raise a value error. We got it. And the message should be an error has occurred. After that, Joe's does not start with a K. This should be the correct answer. See, so how many minutes we have? 26 minutes and probably 20 questions. What is the output of this code? You have a range and you have a num. You're printing the num. It will be 10 numbers 0 to 9. For all even numbers, you will continue. But as soon as a number is not even, you will break. So technically, this might get called only once for 0, and then so it would print 0, would come here, come back again, print 1, and then it will break. Which of these statement is true? A generator is created using the gen keyword. There can be multiple return statement in the same function. The value of the last line of Python function is implicitly returned. Function can exist without explicitly returning anything. So the generator is created by using gen, a function which would have a yield keyword inside the body that would be treated as generator. What is the output of this code? You have number 10. If number is greater than 20 or greater than 10, you print first. So this case won't happen. If number is less than 10, print second. This case won't happen either. So third would get printed. Third and only third. What would be the value of output be after running this code? So you are starting from 1, go up to 4. You have a list function which is having a lambda, and lambda is multiplying it by 2.5 times. You have the initial list, and then it would be generated as the output. So a lot of things are happening here, but it should be cool. They are not doing the print statement. So output, none of these answer. The result would be a map object. No, not true. Hmm. So technically it should be 1 multiplied by 2.5 is 2.5, 2 multiplied by 2.5 is 5.0, 3 multiplied by this would be this, 4 multiplied would be this. So this should be the answer. How many lines would be printed if the following module was imported 3 times? So following module is imported and they have this line, then it won't call this print name and nothing would get printed. So it should be 0 lines would be printed, whatever number. And otherwise also, once you import a file, even if you import 3 times, it would be invoked only once. If this line is not there, it would run some of the methods inside it. How would you fill in the blank 1 and 2, etc., to make the following code return the expected output? So expected output is less than 10, less than 10 twice. So less than 10, you wanna get this printed, and then the last one. So you could do if number is less than 10, print this, then again do if number is, you could do else if number is less than 10, if it is not, if number is greater than 10, print greater than 10, else print less than 10. So if else would be the right one. So now we have 21 minutes and 20 questions to solve. Which of the following would create a class called person and allow it to be instantiated with the following line? So we have a constructor taking the name and the age. This is what it does. It's taking args actually, and args are name, age, and date of birth. You can pass multiple things. This should this be fine? No, because this is one variable actually. Uh, but you can always pass a tuple or a dictionary. But the best possible thing will be this guy. name, age, and date of birth. That way, even if you leave out the third argument, it should be fine. What would be the value of the names variable after running the code? So you are grabbing everything from the start all the way to third index. Third index would be the 0, 1, 2, and 3. So third index is not included. These first three values would be printed, which will be Alice, Bob, and Lace. Alice, Bob, and Lance. What would be the output of the following code? This is fizz if number is odd, and if number is multiple of 5 as well, print fizz buzz. Else if it is odd, print fizz. If it's multiple of 5, buzz. Else number. So you're passing 14. So 14 is, it would go in none of these buckets because neither it's multiple of 3 nor 5. So it would just print or return the number itself. What would be the value of the names after running this? So you will literally reverse this. It would go in the backward direction. This is called as slicing. This index is starting, this is ending, and this step function. So when you do -1, it would start with Mike, Lance, Bob, and Elise. So it would do Mike, Lance, Bob, and Elise. Given the following class definition and instance creation, which of these statements successfully invoke the print name method? So you have person which gets initialized. Then you have a class method which is called as print name. And then you have a save method which takes the destination and stringify the object uh, and then print it to the destination. So you can say person dot print name, which is valid. You should say person dot print name Alex. This should be the correct one. Which of the following lines would modify the ages dictionary to match the expected value? Initial values are these, expected values are these. So we are trying to add Megan with age 40. So ages Megan is equal to 40 is the correct way of doing this. What would be the output of this script B? So we are doing a range function. We say try fourth item from the my list. You would take the fourth item and then it would give you the error. Error should shouldn't be the key error, it would be index error. An error occurred when doing this item. Finally, finished accessing my list. So this would be printed. An index error would occur. It is saying this could also happen. But finally, this would be invoked for sure. Let's see. So we got index error, range out of object, which was not caught. And then we also got finished accessing. So we are right here. It should be multiple choice actually, but it's single choice. Now we have 14 questions and 14 minutes. We have to do it faster now. What's the output of this code? Number 1 is 30, number 2 is 15. We are dividing number 1 by 2 and printing if number 2 is equal to number 1. So this will be false because we are dividing the number, but we are not assigning the value of the number to anything else. What built-in function is used to write characters to the terminal? It would be print, because print would by default write on the terminal. What is the output of this code? Num1 if number is less than or equal to 6. If number is odd, print number. So it would print 3 and then it would print 6. 3 and 6. So we are not incrementing the number here, so it would go in an infinite loop. So in rush, we just ignored the condition. So we have to go slow, not very slow, but to match the time. We have 10 questions in 12 minutes. What is the output of this code? So you have part 1 and part 2, you have index 0, while index is less than length of pair 1, which is 3. For item in pair 2, print pair 2, and then you're grabbing the index, and then you are grabbing the item. So item would be from pair 2 and index would be from pair 2, both. So this would be the same thing, and then you're iterating. So you would be doing DEF and you would be printing it 2 times, DEF. This would be the correct answer. What is the output of the following code? We have double values, which takes the list, and then appends it to the doubles by doing it double. You have first list and you're printing the double values of the first list. So it is going to do a double and print it. So 1, 2, 3, 4 would become 2, 4, 6, 8. So this would return none. So the final output would be none, because what we did is we doubled it up. But if we would have a return statement, then it would have been printed the values properly. How can we avoid printing a new line when using the print function? We can go with this. What would be the output of the following code? It's a Fibonacci series. You have A and B. Then you are going in range to whatever number you need the Fibonacci series. Then you are swapping the variable. A would become B and B would become the last addition of last two numbers, and you are yielding, which means you are giving away that number. And then you are giving, you are invoking this function and assigning it to another variable, and you're trying to print it. So this would error out because you are not calling it properly. You need a number to be called, which is not being passed as argument. So if I have 5, it would run fine. I mean, it would give the variable and then you have to call it. And once you have this number, it would yield. So for yielding, you might have to do a list. What argument to hello function would lead to the expected output? Salutation name separator. Salutation is howdy. You have to pass the name Oscar. What would be the output of this code? You have these two values, this or this we assigned. Then you are multiplying this by 3 and you are printing it. So which one value would go here? It took 1. So whatever is the first value, just taking that and ignoring the rest. Which of these lines of code would create an anonymous function? Lambda function would create the anonymous function. Which of the following statements on bytes object is true? So which of the following statement about bytes is true? Indexing a byte object returns byte object. Bytes are immutable. Slicing a byte object returns byte object. Byte can be read into, but string cannot. Indexing bytes returns byte object. What would be the output when running this script? So when you run this script, you are calling value 3 on this, and it doesn't even have value 3. So this would error out saying attribute error because this doesn't even exist. Now we have 5 minutes and we have just last question to solve, and we are running absolutely on time. Actually, we did before time. That's good. So what's the value of number 2 after executing this code? It's number 12. Number 2, we have just reassigned this value, and then we have incremented the number, and we are trying to do number 2 divided by 2. So 12 divided by 2 will be 6. Yay! We did it all. So we'll see how many mistakes we did. So we did couple of, actually 4 mistakes. So we will look into those and correct them or learn about them. So 15th question is this. So what we did here is what would be the value of names variable after running the code. So name would remain unchanged. We did the slice. It won't make changes to the original slice, but it will provide you another mm, list. So that is first to be, it was tricky, right? Then 25th, which is 14, this was, actually there is no output printed because there is no print statement. These are all return statements. The number 14 will be returned from the function, but print function is not used. So there is no output. Yeah, and we pick 14. 32. 32 is, why is it incorrect? Indexing a byte object returns an integer. Bytes are immutable. Bytes object are immutable binary type just like string and are immutable sequence type. Although each time in a byte object is an integer, slicing the object will return another byte object. If no error was raised, then this would be printed, but an error does occur. Let's say if we are catching this error. Okay, so since we never caught this, it got skipped, which is fine, but finally would always run. So this answer is incomplete because index error would happen and this would always be printed because it's in the finally statement. Yeah, so that's pretty neat. We did only four mistakes and rest all are correct. So this is wonderful. Thanks for watching and best wishes for your exam. My name is Premasim Jain and I have actually published a lot of other mock videos as well, wherein you can go through the test question, answers and explanation. So it would be a good point for you to learn and understand. Apart from it, if you have any question, just feel free to leave that as a comment. And thanks for watching. Bye.